Fix errors, waste, and issues in a couple of clicks. Get alerted whenever you're off track. Sign up at trueclicks.com.
Wix Studio, the platform for agencies and enterprises to manage clients and projects with max efficiency, sharing Wix's SEO tech to help you drive growth.
Hello, good afternoon, Brighton. My name is Christopher. I flew in from Copenhagen yesterday. I'm working at a digital agency in Copenhagen called Inbound CPH. We work with B2B and B2C clients. So my talk today is about how to categorize keywords with the use of Power BI and ChatGPT. I got 60 slides here, 20 minutes, a novel idea. I really hope that you can use these insights for inspiration, for practical use. I filled in as much as possible for you to move on your own after this talk. So my mission here today is actually to show you how to cluster keywords with the AI tools right at your fingertips. So no APIs, no scripts, no coding. And I would like to say that actually I'm quite agnostic when it comes to tools. I believe very much it's about the output that you get out of it, and it's about the skills to get there. And I think that's also something which will reflect my talk today. So what is keyword clustering? This is a list, 1,000 keywords for a Danish online pharmacy extracted from Ahrefs. Each keyword doesn't make any sense, but when we start grouping them, it's something else. Right, so actually the idea is to say that the keywords, each one is an individual data point. If we group them into different categories, we can actually get insights to take action. So I have a little pet niche project in Denmark called danishwine.com. So what I do here is actually I build up the different entities, the different topics that I want to talk about. So of course, I have a main page for Danish wine, but then I will also talk about Danish vineyards. I will talk about the different types of wine, red wine, white wine, sparkling, fortified. I will talk about the different grapes going into Danish wine production. I will talk about Danish wine paired with food, and I will also talk about events or tastings. So that's on the top level, and you can always dive down into subcategories or subcategories. So just take an example like Danish vineyards. I can talk about the different cities, I can talk about regions, I can talk about the specific vineyards. There are more than 100 in Denmark. When I have that structure, I can actually build the content which will make me dominate Google on every level. So I rank number 1 for Danish vineyards, I rank number 1 for vineyards in Jutland, I rank number 1 even for some of the vineyards themselves. But that's actually what keyword clustering is about. It's about having to structure your keywords in a way that you actually understand what is the content that I need to produce on every level of the website. And that means that I can get the traffic that I need to grow my business. So show of hands here, how many are clustering keywords in their job? I know there are many agencies here. Yes, lots of hands. So if you think about it, how fast will it take you to cluster 1,000 keywords? I know traditionally it takes hours or even days. So let me tell you a story about 5 years ago. I was actually consulting with the number 1 global brand for weighing instruments. They're called Mettler Toledo. They're headquartered in Zurich in Switzerland. And they basically weigh anything, whether you go to the Gatwick airport to weigh your suitcase, if you go into a Lindt chocolate store in New York, or if you go to the post office, they will weigh whatever it takes. So one of the projects that I did for them was actually doing keyword research. This was on a worldwide scale, Americas, Europe, Asia. And it was a very cool project with a very big budget. So this is my partner in crime, Michael. He's the head of global SEO at Mettler Toledo, and it was a very successful project. If you look into Ahrefs 5 years ago, you will see there's quite a big growth. Of course, a lot of credits to Michael and his team for doing this, but I will take a little bit of the credit for these analyses that we did. So actually, it's still a project which goes on today, where actually every Monday morning, 77,000 keywords will be up. Their ranking will be updated, the traffic potential will be updated, lead value, turnover value for the local teams to work with. Now this is in Power BI, and I will dive into that a little bit later. But one issue that I had was actually that clustering keywords was a real pain for me. I mean, that could actually take up like 60, 70, 80% of the time. And of course, when you are working on a constrained budget with deadlines, etc., this is really something which was very painstaking at the time, because of course, working with B2C is more comprehensible. But for instance, when you work with a B2B industry where you're an outsider, you don't know anything about crystallization, synthesis, reaction, etc. So it's quite a complicated area to cluster. Secondly, I had to cluster keywords in Japanese. That was also a bit tough. And the third thing was actually that when you weigh a truck in the US, it's called a truck scale. When you weigh it in Australia, it's called a weighbridge. So that's another one, just understanding the lexical keywords. So what are the different methods that we have to cluster keywords? First off, we have VLOOKUPs in Excel. I remember I was at a session last year at Brighton here, where everybody took screenshots for every VLOOKUP formula that was in the presentation. You can also do text filtering in Power BI, which was my preferred method. Then there are, of course, all the tools that you see downstairs: Keyword Insights, SERPstat, SE ranking. And the third option is to be a Python ninja and do a script in Python. But on the 1st of December 2022, something magical happened. We all got a hold of ChatGPT. And that's actually where I realized that this very tough method I could use ChatGPT for this. Now, I did work before with Danny Richmond's method to work with the API in OpenAI, but still, every time you work with an API or code or anything, you lose some people on the way. So I wanted to try to see if I could do a method where ChatGPT could help me. Now, there are different methods already in place. I mean, for instance, Julian Goldie, he did a custom GPT. I think Kyle Roof did a method here as well to cluster keywords. And I tried all these different methods. The issue is simply that the problem is that there is no context in these methods. It means that you and I will get the same result no matter what kind of business we are, no matter what company we're in. So for instance, if I ask ChatGPT, please cluster these 1,000 keywords for me, ChatGPT will just go haywire. It will go in any direction and come up with different categories. For instance, spelling errors should be a category. I will also only get 33% of these keywords categorized. Still means I have 67% that I need to do a second round with. So my message here, the first one, is actually that ChatGPT will always give you an output. And if you don't have the bullshit detector on, it will give you an output which is not good. When there is no context, ChatGPT will hallucinate. So I went back and forth, how could I find a method which wouldn't make ChatGPT hallucinate? And I went back to the root of the problem, and the root of the problem was actually the whole methodology of keyword categorization. It's a method we've worked with since 1990 something. The idea of having keywords and having them create categories on that basis. So actually the key to not have ChatGPT hallucinate was a little bit different. So, are you ready? This will be brilliant. And tongue twisting, I can see. Category keywordization. So actually what I'm doing is I'm reversing the process here. So I'm identifying the different categories, and only then I'm scoping it, I'm narrowing it down for ChatGPT not to hallucinate. And that is actually, that is the basics, that is the foundation to start working on clustering with ChatGPT. It is category keywordization. So just by doing a little bit of context prompting, I can actually go from 33 to 53% of the keywords categorized, and I even get decent categories. So let's look at this, the 3 steps to actually go and cluster these keywords. So the first one is actually teach ChatGPT about your business, because every business is unique and it needs to understand what is your mission. Secondly, teach ChatGPT about the different categories, and in the end, only then you go in and cluster the keywords. So the first step is that actually I ask ChatGPT, so ask me 10 strategic questions about my business. And look here, I've underlined strategic, because otherwise we will just get some plain vanilla Wiki questions. That's not what we want. We want ChatGPT to understand the positioning, the USP, the competitors, everything there is to know about the strategy. Then secondly, I ask ChatGPT to go into my website and actually identify the different categories in my top menu. And it does a great job. It lists all the different categories. But then I also want to add missing categories, because one category which is missing is, of course, any query with my brand in it. It's also, you could say, a generic category like online pharmacy. That would never be part of a top menu. But you could actually also go in and say, okay, there's a new trend report coming out. There's a new product area that we need to investigate. That's also a time and place to get in that category. Again, I don't want ChatGPT to hallucinate, so I ask it to understand each category. And a very simple tip here is actually to say, ChatGPT, give me 3 queries for each category, and then I can actually walk through these examples and understand if it has understood the categories. So now, this is my prompt here. All the slides are in the speaker deck, so you can just go and look at it afterwards. So what I'm doing here is actually, I'm asking ChatGPT now to categorize each keyword in 1 or more categories. Now this is also important in order to make sure that ChatGPT doesn't hallucinate. I say 1 or more categories. So there is more than 1 category where a keyword fits in. Only later I will narrow down the options. And just for it not to go haywire again, I will just do a sample test, take the first 20 questions. I get, this means cough medicine in Danish. It puts it over the counter, symptoms, mother and child, personal care. I'm happy. So, if I guess everybody here is on ChatGPT, as you probably noticed, ChatGPT has become very lazy. It asks you how to do tasks. It will maybe give you some examples, but it really tries to avoid getting the job done. So, as I explained to you in the beginning, I am agnostic about this, so I will use Claude 3 instead. Now, Claude 3 was created by some ex-engineers from OpenAI. I think you can only use it in the US, not here in the UK, so I use a VPN to get access. The first thing I do is actually everything that ChatGPT understood about my business and my categories, I have ChatGPT educate Claude 3. So that's the first part, and only then I can start by running the prompt that I showed you earlier. So this is actually what you're seeing here is on the left we have all the different keywords, and every column here, that's a category. Every time it meets a category, every time there's a fit between the keyword and the category, it marks it with an X. So as we saw before, still my cough medicine, it has marked it with a 1 in all the categories where it makes sense. So now I'm in a good place, but now I want actually Claude 3 to go in and identify the most fitting category for each keyword. And again, I run some different examples. I see my cough medicine. It chooses OTC, over the counter, as the best option. Again, I'm happy. And now I run the list of keywords. And this is where we are back to how long time does it take to categorize keywords. So if you remember from before, my little teaser here, how fast do I actually cluster these 1,000 keywords? As I explained earlier, this is something which could take hours and hours before, and not even getting the job done 100%. So in this case, 5 minutes and 27 seconds. And I'm doing 5 runs. I'm doing 2.5 runs of 4. It will go in and categorize 350 keywords at the time, and then I have to write continue, and it will go on until we are done. So what are the actual insights actually of this? I mean, this is just ChatGPT hallucinating and Claude hallucinating. Let's look at one of these subcategories. Now, out of the 1,000 keywords, Claude identified that 173 of these keywords were in the category symptoms. So I took all this data, I put it into ChatGPT again. It's better at visualizing and creating topical maps. And this is just a way for me to get an understanding of what are the different topics inside the symptoms category. Some very, very nice, quick and dirty work. So if I take, for instance, a subcategory like skin problems, there are 5 different topics on this website. And again, if I ask ChatGPT to help me out, it will actually identify 3 more that I haven't covered yet: moles, skin tags and warts, and pigmentation disorders. So actually already here we have some interesting insights that we can work on further to really create a strong categorization. So just back to my old Metal Toledo case, because it was a little bit hard for me to leave it. I had 1,821 uncategorized keywords in one of these analyses. I ran them through Claude, and actually it managed to categorize 370 of them. So this time I didn't overlook the gravimetric keywords, which were actually quite important for Metal Toledo. So let me just dive quickly into the insights section. I know all of you are probably working with Excel, Google Sheets, maybe also Power BI, but I really like Power BI because you can do some great stuff. For you who don't know Power BI, it's a business analytics tool developed by Microsoft, and you can create reports and dashboards. But for me as an SEO, Power BI is actually Excel on steroids. The advantage of Power BI, there are many, but one thing is that it doesn't crash, which Excel tends to do if you have too much data. If you work with Google Sheets, it's actually, I would say, a much better option in order to merge the data, and especially business data, not only SEO data. There's a very user-friendly drag and drop, which I will show you. No startup costs. And actually, as I showed before, if you work with BigQuery, you can actually push in live data. It's a little bit more advanced. So this is my old method of clustering. This was very painstaking, trying to do these text filters in Power BI and putting in the categories. The new method that I have now is actually I have a list of all my keywords with the category next to it, which Claude created for me. And I can actually now I can create a relationship with any other data set in there, as long as there's a common denominator. In this case, it would be the keyword. So when I have combined my different data sets, I can actually just do drag and drop for insights. So this is a data set from before, and I can just drag and drop in my rankings from Google Search Console, for instance, or I could take any turnover data or whatever I have. It's very flexible in that doing tables. Also for visualizations, if that's what you work with, creating a bubble chart where you look into how many impressions are there in each category, what are their average ranking. This is also a super quick way to actually work with this kind of data. I could even take in a third data set showing conversions in the different categories as the size of the bubbles, if that was my task. So to sum this up, the category keywordization method, I will find a better term for it later, but for your understanding, teach your AI tool about your business, teach the AI tool about the different categories that you're working with, and then you can cluster the keywords. But remember here that this is a talk about if you want to handle an AI tool like this, you need to do context prompting and you need to do iterations to get that desired result. And then, of course, I would recommend that you use Power BI as a way to get the insights to take action. So that was my talk about category keywordization. I hope I've shared some tips which will make you feel like this is something that you could start doing. And I hope everybody got something from this talk. Thank you.
Demand sphere. Limitless visual insights from the SERPs. Unlimited dashboards and users. Easy to use and easy to scale your growth to new levels.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.